Hey guys, wanted to take a chance and some time to go over your quiz with you. Some of you did very, very well. Others of you really disappointed me, and some of you, I think you're not even paying any attention whatsoever. So let's go through this step by step. We'll go through this quiz on these two sections, and make sure you watch this and make sure you check with what your answers were so that you can know what you did wrong. Okay. For the first one. Solve the equations if possible. Remember to identify any values of the variable that may be extraneous. Okay. First off, for extraneous variables, the only thing you have to worry about is, am I dividing by am I making the variable 0? Am I trying to divide by 0, or am I trying to take the square root of a negative? Guys, there are no radicals on the first 5 problems. So guess what? You don't have to worry about that as far as extraneous solutions go. However, you do have to worry about dividing by 0, and when we get to something that has that, I'll show it to you. Number 1, there's no division here whatsoever. Number 1, if you're getting this wrong, you're just being careless. 3 times the quantity y minus 5, just distribute. 3y minus 15 equals 3 plus 5y. All right, so I'm going to move my 3y over this way. So I get negative 15 equals 3 plus 2y. If I subtract 3, now guys, negative 15 minus 3, I had 3 of you tell me it was 12, negative 12. Come on guys. If nothing else, use your calculator. I don't care. Get this part right. You've got to be able to do this. Negative 15 minus 3 is negative 18 equals 2y. Then you divide by 2. Divide by 2, you get y equals negative 9. Done. I thought that was an easy way to start the quiz. Now, for number 2, we have fractions. Now, we're not dividing by any variables, which is a good thing, so we just have to find our least common denominator. Well, our least common denominator between 2, 4, and 1 is 4, so I'm going to multiply everything by 4. So 4 times 3 is 12x. 12x divided by 2 is 6x. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. So I have 1 times x minus 2. Well, that's just plain old x minus 2. And then 4 times 10 is 40. 6x plus x is 7x minus 2 equals 40. Add 2. Add 2. 7x equals 42, divide by 7, x equals 6. And once again, there's nothing that could have been extraneous. Now, number 3, I have a variable in the denominator that it says 5x plus 4. So I have to figure out what would make 5x plus 4 equal 0. Well, how do I do that? 5x plus 4 equals 0. 5x equals negative 4, x equals negative 4/5. So what do we want? We want x to not equal negative 4/5. You needed to tell me that, okay? If you didn't tell me what would make it extraneous, then you have a problem. Now, what's the least common denominator between 5x plus 4 and 3? Well, it's 5x plus 4 times 3. So I multiply everything by 5x plus 4 times 3. Well, what happens here? My 5x plus 4's disappear, so I have 3 times 5x plus 4. What happens on this side? The 3's disappear, so I have 5x plus 4 times 2. So 3 times 5x plus 4 is 15x plus 12. And that equals 10x plus 8. So I end up with 5x plus 12 equals 8, minus the 12, 5x equals negative 4. Okay? Excuse me. So then I have to divide by 5, x equals negative 4 over 5. But what happened? X cannot equal negative 4 over 5, so this is extraneous, and there is no solution. Now, I marked several of you correct because I was like, come on guys, I can't make everyone wrong on that, so I gave a lot of you partial credit on that. All right, what do I have to do here? Oh, I have 5x plus 6 in the denominator, so 5x plus 6 equal to 0. 5x equals negative 6. X equals negative 6 over 5. So x cannot equal negative 6 over 5. All right? So, what's my least common denominator? I have 5x plus 6 times 2. The 5x plus 6 is canceled, so I have 2 times 10x plus 3. 2 times 10x plus 3. And then I have the 2's cancel, so I have 1 times 5x plus 6, so that equals 5x plus 6. So I have 20x plus 6 equals 5x plus 6. Well, what happens here? The 6's disappear, so I get 20x equals 5x. So if I subtract 5x minus 5x, I get 15x equals 0. Divide by 15. Divide by 15, I get x equals 0. And that is okay. And number 5. I have x and I have x minus 5, so I have to consider both of these. All right, well, x certainly can't equal 0. That's easy. And x minus 5 equals 0. Well, then x cannot equal 5. So those are the two things I need to see for number 5. So again, what's my least common multiple? Well, it's x times x minus 5. So what happens here? The x's cancel, so I have x minus 5 plus, now my x minus 5 cancels, 2x equals 0. X plus 2x is 3x minus 5 equals 0. 3x equals 5, x equals 5 over 3. And that's fine because it's not equal to 5 and it's not equal to 0. All right, and that's the first half of the quiz. Now the second half of the quiz is the complex numbers. A little disappointed. Some of you really shone on this, some of you really blew it on this. 11 minus negative 3. Okay, that's 11 plus 3, so that's 14. Negative 2i minus 6i. Negative 2 minus 6 is negative 8i. That's all there is to it, guys. For number 7, I would change each of these into their I form and then try to reduce it. So I have negative square root, or I have square root of negative 18. Well, that's I times the square root of 18. Square root of 18 reduces to the square 9 times 2. So I'm going to have I times the square root of 9 times the square root of 2. Well, the square root of 9 is 3, so I have 3i square root of 2. Same thing over here. I'm going to have I times the square root of 32. Well, that's the same thing as I times the square root of 16 times the square root of 2. Or 4i square root of 2. So, all of you can do the first part, 7 plus 3. What is 7 plus 3? 10. 3i square root of 2 plus 4i square root of 2 is just simply 7i square root of 2. Some of you had this and this, but you didn't realize that you can combine them. These are the same things, guys. You can easily combine them. All right, number 8. very disappointed that you still aren't recognizing things that are conjugates of each other. Ladies and gentlemen, 3 minus the square root of -2 and 3 plus the square root of -2 are conjugates. Okay? Simplify the square root of -2 if you need to. That's simply I times the square root of 2. Okay? So I have 3 minus I root 2 times 3 plus I root 2. Now what happens? Why do I care about a conjugate? Because the middle two terms disappear, so I just have 3 times 3, which is what? 9. Now I have a negative times a positive, so that's a negative. I times I is I squared, and the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is 2. So I have 9 minus I squared is -1, -1 times 2, or 9 minus -2, or plain old 11. Yeah, it's that straightforward. Number 9, this carelessness, if you missed this one. All you do is multiply by I. The top becomes 11I. The bottom becomes 6I squared. Well, what is I squared, ladies and gentlemen? It's 11I over 6 times -1, or 11I over -6. That's it. And then number 10, again, I have 4 minus 6i down here, so I have to multiply by the conjugate to make my life easier. So I multiply by 4 plus 6i. I don't understand why some of you are multiplying by the same exact thing. That's not the conjugate. And I don't know why some of you are multiplying by a negative up top and a positive down here. Whatever you multiply, this has to equal 1, guys, because you're not changing the problem. This divided by this is 1. All right. So 6i times 4 is 24i. 6i times 6i is 36i squared. We'll come back to that. 4 times 4 is 16 minus 36i squared. Now some of you are trying to cancel this out. No, 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 no. Bad math. Don't do it. This I squared, this becomes -36, so this becomes 24i minus 36 over 16 minus -36. Now remember, we want this in standard form, so it means this -36 has to come first. So it's -36 plus 24i. Now 16 plus 36 is 52. Does anything go into all of those? Oh yeah, this problem seems really familiar, Mr. Drum. It should. 4 goes into all of those, so if I divide everything by 4, I get -9 plus 6i divided by 13. That's standard form. Some of you are writing stuff like this, -9 over 13 plus 6i over 13. Guys, if you have the same denominator, combine them. This is correct. I marked this one correct, but I won't in the future. Okay? Same denominator, combine it. All right, and that was the quiz. All right, it took me 14 minutes to go in depth and explain it to you, so I'm hoping you actually watch this and realize what you did wrong. Thanks.